Tannenbaum, our ESPN NFL front office insider, released a mock draft. And here's the way it looked. So, Smalls, you said it. Cam Ward, number 1, Tennessee Titans. Cleveland Browns, he has Travis Hunter, cornerback, wide receiver from Colorado. Number 3, Shedeur Sander to the New York Giants, quarterback, Colorado. Let's stop there for a second. Cam Ward, Travis Hunter, Shedeur Sander. Do we like that 1, 2, 3? Do we think that makes sense? Or are the Browns then still in purgatory, as Darlington alluded to?
Yeah, what the hell are the Browns doing? You got to take a quarterback there. Like, as much as you would love to have a talent like Travis Hunter, you got to take a quarterback there, unless you're able to land the plane with Russell Wilson in free agency. If the Cleveland Browns get Russell Wilson as their quarterback, then this game plan makes sense because they're telling everyone, including their locker room, that we're trying to win in 2025. But taking Travis Hunter and missing out on the free agent quarterbacks that are available we had right now just doesn't seem like a viable plan going into next season.
See, I kind of like that pick for them if they're not sold on Shedeur. Based on what Jeff just explained to us about the difference in viewpoint between where Cam Ward is and what he can turn into and Shedeur Sander, yes, the Cleveland Browns are definitely in a conundrum when it comes to the quarterback position, and they're not going to be able to take big steps forward without figuring out that problem. But if they don't think Shedeur is going to be the guy long term, why reach for him just to fill a need? Why pass on what could be a generational talent and a dynamic player on both sides of the ball in Travis Hunter just to keep yourself in this cycle if Shedeur isn't the guy?
I can't get over the possibility of the who with the Cleveland Browns over the what. If you bring in Russell Wilson, Travis Hunter, and I would do everything in my power to maneuver to get Jalen Milroe, quarterback Alabama, in the second round. I can't get over that, like what I'm looking at in terms of who the Cleveland Browns are instead of what they are. The who has been the problem because the who was so bad at the quarterback position that the what became such a magnified story. If it was such a good guy that everybody liked and he was going through all these injuries and struggles, we'd be sitting here rooting for him. We'd be sitting here saying, hey, what can they do to help him? Instead of what can they do to exile the person? If you get Russell Wilson, Travis Hunter, and Jalen Milroe, we're looking at this franchise completely differently.
Did we do that with Kirk Cousins when he was struggling after Atlanta gave him a bag? Were we all actively cheering for Kirk Cousins, or were we saying, hey, it's over, let's move on to Michael Penix Jr.?
But I don't think there was a negative with that.
But my whole point is, I think the results on the football field were so bad for Deshaun Watson that, yes, there's all the off-the-field issues too, but he was not good at all.
Right.
And got a landscape-changing contract. So I think the reaction to him, yes, is severe because of the off-the-field stuff, but I think it would have been very similar because he was not any good. I don't know if the who matters as much. They just need somebody that can play the position.
I think that Deshaun Watson would have dreamt of being as good as Kirk Cousins with the Falcons. Like, as bad as Kirk Cousins was with the Falcons, he's way better than Deshaun Watson with the Browns.
Sure.
I mean, think about that. 18 touchdowns, 16 interceptions. At least he had more. And they were winning-ish games with him. Mike's draft continues in terms of the mock draft. This is where he has a big surprise. He has Armand Membu, the offensive tackle/guard. Did I say that right?
Yeah.
From Missouri, going to the Patriots at 4. They desperately need a left tackle.
Yep. That
has not been the number 1 tackle off the board. He then has Abdul Carter going to the Jaguars at 5, the edge from Penn State.
What a steal for them.
Ooh,
that would be juicy.
That would be nasty with Josh Hines Allen and those guys up front for Jacksonville. Ooh.
Ashton Genty, the running back.
Javon Walker.
Ashton Genty going to the Raiders, which seemingly has been the penciled in. Everybody's kind of doing that. The running back out of Boise State. But maybe the most interesting pick is at 26 overall in Mike Tannenbaum's mock draft, Jackson Dart, quarterback Ole Miss, going to the Rams. I got to tell you guys, I would love that conceptually if he is as good as everybody thinks he is, because now you have the quarterback when you want one, not when you need one, because Stafford's back. I think there's almost 0% chance that he's going to slip to 26 based on everything we're hearing. I don't think he's slipping out of the top 10. I'm not even sure he's slipping out of the top 5. And I'm not sure if he's good. I don't know. I'm saying.
What a couple of sentences to string together.
Would you argue with any of them?
No, but when you frame it that way, that you're not sure he's going to slip out of the top 5, but you also aren't sure he's any good.
That's right. Yeah. And I vehemently disagree with Nuno on something, our producer.
What?
What's that?
So Nuno does not believe that if you're a team needing a quarterback, and you like a quarterback, let's just call it Jackson Dart, and you're the New York Giants, who we know needs a quarterback. Nuno is vehemently against the idea of drafting him at 3 because it's a reach. And I would argue there is no such thing as a reach at the quarterback position if you get it right. There is no such thing as a reach at the quarterback position if you get it right. So if the New York Giants, who you should have zero reason to trust right now as a franchise, draft Jackson Dart at 3, and he becomes a star, is it a reach?
No. It's just that the Giants or whoever, whatever team's scouting department knew something that everybody else didn't.
Yeah, they're better at evaluating talent than others.
In comparison, the Giants drafted a running back at 2. He became a megastar.
Hold on. I'm sorry. We got to go pull the curtains for a second. Because when I brought this up to you, Canty, I think you were going to choke me when I brought that up to you. About the Jackson Dart, like if you believe he's your guy, draft him at 3. That wasn't the reaction you had off air earlier this morning when I said that.
You think I want the Giants to take Jackson Dart at 3?
That's what I want to hear. That, like, he's not worth
But I've already said I don't want the Giants to take Jackson Dart at 3. I don't want the Giants to take a quarterback, period. What are you talking about?
Okay, let's focus on Jackson Dart. Because you're all in on the draft. You do great research. Yeah. What do you think of Jackson Dart?
What a setup. Wow. Yeah.
I think he's got a ton of physical ability, but in terms of the throws that he's going to make at the NFL level, I haven't seen him do it at college because that's not what Lane Kiffin asked him to do in their offense. It was a lot of go balls. It was bubble screens. It was slants off of RPOs, and that's it. There wasn't a whole lot of in-breaking routes. There wasn't a whole lot of layering throws between the second and third level defenders in that scheme. You just didn't get that from them. Now, they didn't ask him to do it, so we don't know if he can do it or not. But that would give me some cause for pause based on the offense that Ole Miss ran. The definition of a college offense is what we saw Ole Miss run. And so with the NFL adopting a lot of those principles, maybe he can step in and be an instant impact player if you drastically change your scheme. But in terms of the things that we've seen great quarterbacks do in the NFL, great quarterbacks be consistent at, I just haven't seen Jackson Dart do a lot of those things. And in fairness to him, he wasn't asked to. So it's a huge projection. And that part about the evaluation is what makes me uncomfortable taking him high.
All right, there's a lot more to get to with this. We do have I'm Over It coming up, but we need to dive into this because I think we are disagreeing on this idea that is there such thing as a reach at the quarterback position if you get it right? And obviously, maybe we are all jaded in some ways by the idea of we don't think person X is good, so of course it's going to be a reach. We're going to continue that conversation.
OurEnergy.com for great deals and stock up before tip-off.
Great stuff moments ago with Jeff Darlington. If you missed any of that from our ESPN NFL reporter, go back on the podcast, wherever you find your podcast. So many nuggets that he dropped in that 10-minute conversation that we had with Jeff Darlington today. I guess quickly, biggest takeaway from the Darlington interview, because mine is, of course, I'm going in a crazy direction of, all right, Aaron Rodgers is going to go to the Giants. That's where my mind goes, even though Jeff never said that in any way, shape, or form. I have changed my mind on the Aaron Rodgers destination maybe 100 times.
The biggest takeaway for me was that Shedeur Sanders was not even the same zip code as Cam Ward in terms of how he's viewed by NFL talent evaluators. I think Cam Ward has an electric arm. There's a lot to love in terms of his journey, his path to being where he's at right now. But I think Shedeur Sanders has a really high floor, and it's based on the character of the player. I get that he doesn't have the same physical upside, the same dominant traits as Cam.